Hi guys, it is a cool and damp day and I have a little project to do. I have some collard greens and some kale that need potting up, and I'm only potting them up because the space I want to put them in still has some plants that are doing well. So I'm not ready to rip those out and pop these in. So they're going to need a little more space to grow. These are my winter crops, and I don't know about you guys. I haven't been to the nursery much this year due to my back circumstances, but I was in there a week ago and I cannot believe the prices of a 6-pack of annuals or vegetables. So I'm glad I planted these about a month ago, and I planted them in coco coir, which is really devoid of any nutrition whatsoever. I did fertilize them once with Miracle Grow organic fertilizer, and they're hanging in there. But if I want them to look nice by the time it's time to take out my eggplant or some of my other summer crops, some of my squashes, I've got to give them a little more space and some better soil. Now that they've had a chance to germinate in the coco coir, it's time for an upgrade. I'm really enjoying this fall-like weather. I think it'll get hot again, but this is a nice respite for the August heat we've been having. So I'm gonna get started on that. I don't know about you, but I've been accused of being obsessed with the weather and checking the weather app too much. I like to know what temperature it is. I like to know what to expect in the rest of the week as I plan my projects and I plan my chores, but I check the app several times a day, and I would imagine you do too if you're as into gardening as I am. I have been accused of being obsessed with the weather, but honestly, I just want to know when I need to water my gardens. And as you can see, we are in a cooler front here. We have a front from the northwest coming over our location, and we have a hurricane which is going to skirt the eastern seaboard, but hopefully stay out to sea. But I could possibly see some precipitation from that in a day or two. So it looks like I'm going to get plenty of moisture. But let me know if you check the weather apps several times a day like I do. I just want to know whether to water my garden. Now I'm going to give these little babies some a mix of Miracle Grow. I think I even put some Job's soil in here, and I also put some all clay non-clumping kitty litter in there. It's good to have larger particles so that your roots can easily move through the substrate. So let's take out, of all my little starts, I think my collard greens look the best. Now guys, I don't actually like collard greens, but what I find is, first of all, it's really good to have something in your soil, even when the temperatures are cooler. I kind of broke the roots there, but that's okay, it'll rebound. But even when the temperatures are cooler, or even in the winter, it's beneficial for your soil microbes to have roots growing in there. It's a symbiotic relationship, and it really helps keep your soil healthy. And collard greens are one of the best things to put into your soil or into a hole where you're planting something, into your compost. They are just, the way they break down is just really fantastic for your soil and your compost. So if I don't find a way to cook them that I like, I have another reason for having them in my garden. And they're pretty cold tolerant. I mean, you could get a crazy cold snap, but I have had collard greens last here in zone 6B, 7A throughout the winter. I guess it just depends on your winter. So isn't that looking much better, guys? That's going to do really well. And you know, if it doesn't get planted out for another 4 or 5 weeks, it's going to be perfectly fine in here, and it'll continue to grow. I don't like to make extra work for myself with potting into cells and potting up. But I find, especially in some of the beds where I've used my own compost, there's a lot of microbes and bugs. So seed starting isn't always ideal, especially for brassicas. And I have, about 2 weeks ago, I put in some fava beans up in my polytunnel bed. And only a few have come up. So I don't know whether it was too hot or they got nibbled underneath. But at any rate, I find with things like brassicas, and which collards are, and kale, I find I have much more success when I start them in seed packs. Okay, this one has a much better root system. We'll get the whole thing in there. But let me know what flowers and vegetables you're growing for the cool season. I do start a lot of winter sowings for flowers for spring. So that I won't be doing until next year. I usually do that late winter. Sometimes I use Valentine's Day as my marker as when to start some winter sowings, because the seeds can stratify. But for these, I do like to get them in the ground. Let me line them up here. Oh, they're looking, I feel so much better about this. I don't know about you, but I feel really guilty when little seedlings aren't in the right setup. If they look crowded or aren't getting enough nutrition. But, you know, we like to nurture things. It's a gardener's trait, I think. And let's see how we do with this one. Here's a healthy little seedling. They're going to be so happy. I'll keep you updated. Now, these are coming out much better than the first one did. So I'm happy about that. But I'm going to continue to do these. We're having a quiet moment here. The noise pollution in the suburbs just finished up. We have a lawn company that does our lawn and 4 lawns around us. And, you know, it's about a full hour of lawn mowing, weed whacking or strimming, whatever you might call it, where you are. And then they take a blower and blow off all the grass. So they do a fantastic job, but it's about an hour of very loud noise. So I try to stay out of their way, and I try not to be out here when all that commotion's going on. Noise pollution in the suburbs can sometimes ruin an experience, but I'm so happy that they are doing it and not me. So I'm going to finish these up, guys, and then I'll show you the finished result afterwards. Well, that certainly was an enjoyable 20 minutes for me to pot up my little babies. I have 6 collard greens in the front, 6 kale plants, and 3 Swiss chard. They're looking the least impressive, but I think they'll take off in these pots. But I'm excited to have fall and winter greens, and hopefully some of these will grow through the winter. We'll see, but they are good for the soil and good for the body, and fun to nurture from little seedlings. So I hope you have some things going on and growing for the fall and winter, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.